I'm Emma and this is the Alpha Sessions and I'm here with the amazing Kerry Goodhind. Hello.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm very well. How are you?
Good, thank you. We first saw you at the amazing Bedford. How was that show for you?
It was amazing. It was a great lineup, very, very appreciative audience, and just a really good night of live original music, I think.
We were talking when we were off air actually of different types of shows and how important it is to have that focused audience and give them your undivided attention. Have you got a favourite venue where that happens?
I would say out of the venues that I've played this year, probably the two that really stick out are the Bedford, of course. Yeah. It's where every live musician wants to play, and the Troubadour also.
Oh, amazing.
So again, similar sort of setup. You're on a stage and it's basically a dedicated music venue underground, so everybody that's there wants to have a drink and wants to have a listen to what's going on.
Makes such a difference.
It does.
Let's rewind a little bit. Where did the whole music thing start for you?
Okay, so I've been playing the piano since I was knee high to a grasshopper, so amazing. About 5 years old, and I studied at Trinity for 5 years, classical composition and piano and singing. So I was trained classically, but I then obviously with music have you kind of develop and evolve, and I like to write my own contemporary music. I write for other people, I do collaborations, and just kind of that way really got on the circuit, started falling in and out of bands and duos and trios, and yeah, just gained experience, because as much as this is an amazing thing to do, I think you have to gain experience as you're doing it in all areas, so performing, writing, singing, working with different people. So
would you say as time goes on you build on that experience? You
do, and I think life as well, you build a lot of life experience, so your kind of outlook and your way of writing develops and evolves quite a lot, and you might talk about subjects that are a little bit more mature, or you can decipher them in a more mature way so that you can reach a wider audience, so it definitely helps.
Good. You released your debut album at the start of the year.
I did, in April, yes. Integrity.
What's that all about?
So that album is the first album that I've ever really put out onto all the online music platforms.
Is that quite nerve-wracking?
Yeah, it is. It's because you've got like the big ones. You've got Spotify, Google, Amazon, you've got Apple and everything else, and you put it out. And obviously, I think with any unsigned artist, it's very difficult to gain recognition and connection with an audience, because half the time they don't know you're there. It's not whether your ability is good enough or your music's striking enough. It's more a case of trying to build that fan base as you go.
You always want to give them a wave when you're on Spotify.
You do, yeah. And actually, you find you're at gigs, and I think what I tend to do now is, rather than sell them, I tend to give them to people that really want them, because I know that obviously they're not just going to use them as coasters or it's fine. But yeah, it is quite nerve-wracking, but it's a wonderful thing. It's the first album I've produced. I've had some fantastic people work on the artwork and the production of it as well.
How long did the whole process take?
It took me 9 months to write that album.
Wow.
There's no collabs on that, so it's purely me. And if you listen to the tracks in order, which is kind of how they were written, it's completely all over the place in terms of style. It's basically a mix of everything of Kerry Goodhind, not put into one. It's kind of like the raw ingredients. So
that's good.
Yeah.
All into a mixing bowl, and then
yeah, which is hopefully what the second album will be.
Okay.
So.
Cool. And then when you put the ingredients in the oven, that's more the production side, and
it is, and then there it is.
Amazing. So what would you say as a whole, like, the album was about?
So the album is all autobiographical. I think it's really difficult, because people say, do you write about other instances or other people? Sometimes I do, if I've got like a particular situation that I've become aware of that I feel quite strongly about, I'll write about it, but not so that the person who's maybe involved will know. But everything is autobiographical. It's a lot of feelings and emotions, different scenarios that have happened in life. A lot of it is also about the journey of music and how frustrating it can be at times, how it's a curse as well as an amazing talent, how the industry is quite sort of cliquey at times as well, and how you've just got to be really true to yourself and know that what you do is true to you and it's good.
Is that hard sometimes?
Very hard. It's like devil's advocate, and it's like you've got the angel on one shoulder and you've got the devil on the other shoulder, and if you're having a bad day, obviously this side is, you know, winning, and if you have a good day, you're able to just be strong and drown it out. So it's a constant kind of mind game all the time.
That's terrifying. I'm not gonna lie.
It's hard work. It's emotionally hard work. It's quite draining. Like but you got to, as I was saying to you earlier when we were off air, it's learning to be it's learning to pick the people that kind of are in your corner, and they really, you know, they know what you do is good, and they might not necessarily like it, but they know that what you do is good. And
but that's the same, I think, with life itself. Like
100%.
You choose your friends that are in your corner.
100%.
In the same way.
At the end of the day, the music industry is a business, and first and foremost, you can be the best songwriter in the world, but you've got to tick all the boxes. And I think the great thing about the internet today, one of the great things about it, is that there's so much room for everybody, and everybody is so different that, you know, music that you would never even thought of before is you know, coming into play, and it sounds good, and there's room for it. So, you know, there's loads of scope and loads of opportunity for everybody to be good at what they do.
Can you give me a moment? Can I have some time to understand, to see what's going on? And you don't really know, but it's weighing on my mind to try to figure out where we went wrong. Hold on for love, hold on for love. Carry the weight upon your shoulder. And it makes me mad crazy. Don't know where to begin. Holding out in this fragile world that we're living. And it's truly amazing how we break when we fall. In the blink of an eye, we know we can change it all. If I give you a reason, will it help me be the person that I know you crave in me? When it don't got no meaning, well, it's hard to let it be. That's when you'll find your faith in me. Hold on for love, hold on for love. Carry the weight upon your shoulder. And it makes me mad crazy. Don't know where to begin. Holding out in this fragile world that we're living. And it's truly amazing how we break when we fall. In the blink of an eye, we know we can change it all. world upon your shoulders.
The Alpha Sessions.
So, general inspirations we would say were based on life experiences?
Life experiences, and also as a musician, I think, because I learnt keys before I learnt to sing. That's another funny story, actually, when I got to Trinity. But because I learnt keys predominantly, a lot of it is based around the music. So if it doesn't sound emotive to me musically, I can't put lyrics to it.
Wow, okay.
That's like a block. I can't.
So that comes first?
That comes first 9 times out of 10, unless I've got like a one line and I think I must build a song around that.
Wow.
And there is a one line in one of my new songs that is a really strong line, and I kind of tried to build a song around it. So, but 9 times out of 10 it's music first, I would say.
So, singing second, keyboard first? You said that was a funny story.
It is a funny story, yeah. It's not that you don't want to hear the whole story, but basically I went for a scholarship for Trinity. I received a scholarship from the local council, because back then they were really into music and performing arts. They were only giving 2 away every 5 years, so no pressure.
Yeah.
And the guy said, "You're a fantastic pianist, but you need a second study." And I was like, "What do you mean?" And he's like, "They only take people with 2 or more studies. What can you do in 3 months before your audition? You need to learn." So I was like, well, I'm definitely not learning to play the violin or the guitar. I can't do that. My fingers don't go that way. I've had X amount of years of going this way. And so he said, "Can you sing?" And I said, "Well, I don't know, really." So
you genuinely had never tried before?
Not really, only in the bath. And I was,
Wow.
believe it or not, I'm 100% totally shy when it came to singing in front of my family and friends. And really, that was not a good place for me. And I'm quite a confident person.
So how did you conquer that?
I just kind of thought, how much do I want this scholarship? How much do I want to be in a school where I'm going to have the best teaching in the world? They've got, dedicated people that do this for a living, and classical is my route. I was already sort of grade 6 piano, so it had been drummed into me from a very young age that classical was the right way, into me. Not saying that it is or it isn't, but it was a great foundation to build from. So I just learned. I just was singing everything. I was singing, going to choir. I was going to gospel churches, and I just kind of, if I'm honest, winged my way through the audition, which was 4 hours long. And we came out, and I thought, well, if I can get singing second study, that would be amazing. And I came out and they said, "No, we want you to do singing first study and piano second study." So I was like, okay, that's a good basis.
Amazing. Some people are just talented, aren't they?
Wow. Yeah. That sounds awful, but yeah. But I wouldn't have known. I'm grateful for that, because I would never have discovered it, because I probably up until the age of, absolutely no word of a lie, 28, I'd never sung in front of my dad.
Really?
Never. I just could not.
What would happen when you did?
I just go the colour of that microphone and just,
it's red, by the way.
Yeah, completely clam, just completely clam, and not be. And I could go out on a stage in front of 1,000 people and be absolutely fine at college.
That's mad.
Yeah, it's very strange. But we overcame that. We did a whole thing where he sat in a room with me, quite similar to this, similar to the studio, and he just stared at me and made me do it, which is probably the worst scenario, because I'd rather him come to a gig and just sort of know he was there.
Yeah.
And over time I just sort of got used to it.
You've played us some amazing tracks, and for those of you that aren't familiar with the studio is pretty tiny, pretty intimate. Would you say those are the more nerve-wracking live shows than the larger ones?
Yes, I guess so, yeah. I mean, like, performance is a funny thing. I think you have to almost like have a chat with yourself when you're performing, and I see it a lot. Like and I used to be exactly the same. You see performers getting really nervous. You can see that whole process they're doing where they're going, "I've forgotten the lyrics. Oh no, I've forgotten the music. Oh, what am I going to do?" It's almost like a mind blank. But you have to gig to get over that initial feeling all the time and turn it into, it's almost like a positive thing. So I get nervous, but I almost turn it into like a good energy. So I know, like, I'm, my voice is slightly dry and my hands are slightly clammy, but to the point where it's like geeing me up for a good performance. So yeah, I would say that the smaller shows with like 2 or 3 people are quite nerve-wracking. I'd rather step out on a stage of like 5,000 people and I'd be
fine.
Yeah.
Wow. That's quite impressive.
It's because you can't see them. It's like Wembley Stadium.
Yes,
you sort of go out and you're like, oh, there are people there.
Yeah. So you played the songs this afternoon with your awesome guitarist Alex. How did you guys meet?
So when I moved back from the West Country earlier in the year, we moved to Hampshire, and I thought, well, I need a new guitarist. I need someone who's dedicated and who wants to work on the project, because this project is going to evolve, you know, over the current year, which it is going to do, into next year. Some quite exciting things happening. And I just basically put an advert out on Musicians Network, and Alex had listened to the album and some stuff, and he came back. And to be fair, he's a very good guitarist and he's very dedicated. And I'm not just saying this because he's sitting in your other studio, by the way. But, he's never missed a rehearsal. You know, he's studying at university at the moment, and he's a brilliant asset to have. And going forward into the band that we're going to create around the two of us, he's a strong asset and a strong wingman. So
how do you build around that in terms of band?
So the new album, the new stuff is the new album is 3/4 written. Wow. And the general feel with my sort of team that I have that guide and help me do all sorts of things was that the image at the minute is quite classic and very sort of floaty and kind of like a big voice, but, you know, very acoustic based, because that's how we've gigged this year. It's going to change slightly, and the new stuff is more electro based. Nice. Which sounds weird when you're going to hear those songs, but everything is written on keys. So today your performances have been at the raw root of how everything is written. Yeah. But we are building a sort of a 3-piece band around me, and the idea is to pull me away from keys, which upsets me massively. But in order to be the performer, you have to step away and perform. So it's going to be a challenge for me.
Does that mean there'll be another person on keys?
There'll be someone on synth and bass, yeah. So
wow,
it's going to
be really difficult.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting. I've never seen a synth and bass player, but Alex assures me that they're pretty special in what they do. So I'm quite interested to hear. But obviously, yeah, he's nodding, yeah. Obviously, there will be a point during the performances where I will sit down and play keys, so that people can see that I can play keys. Yeah. So, yeah, it's exciting times.
Sunrise easy with the warmth of the air and the breeze on your skin. More time to play, time to open up your mind and really seize the day. Just one mistake is enough to close you up to the life that you can make. How much can you take before you're driven to the edge of a dream you love but hate? Don't let me near. If you say the magic words I long to hear, consumed with fear, as I'm tearing down these walls, as I wipe away my tears. You're never gonna feel what you wanna feel. You're never gonna say all the things that you might wanna hear. Come on and make a deal, so we can make it real. And never say all the things that you might wanna hear. Somebody, somehow, somewhere you've got to have us now. Sometime in another place, I could see the ocean, I can feel the space. Can you feel it? Can you hear it? It's calling out to me. Can you see it? Can you hear it? It's calling out to me. Can you feel it? Can you hear it? Yeah. It's calling out to me. Can you see it? Can you hear it? It's calling out to me. Sunrise easy with the warmth of the air and the breeze on your sea.
The Alpha Sessions.
You tend to commute quite a lot into London.
I do.
What's the music industry like where you're from?
So Hampshire, where I live in Hampshire at the moment, it's more kind of live based, but if I'm honest, the general trait that I see through a lot of counties is a lot of cover bands and a lot of, because that's what people want to listen to, and they like to go out and have a drink and listen to a good tight band, but songs that they can sing along to, and that's wonderful. But I do find that now sort of live original music is pushing its way a little bit forward into the forefront, especially in London. And over the last 6 months of doing those gigs, you know, every single venue that I've come across, they have an acoustic night, because I think they need to realise that the balance for them to get those listeners and drinkers in, because obviously it's business again for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
It has to be a balance of covers and original. And, you know, not everyone wants to listen to covers. They just want to go and absorb themselves in something that sounds nice, but they don't have to really think about it.
Musicians don't always want to play covers either.
I'm not really. I think I think each musician writes a song for a song. If you're going to do it, do a unique cover of it. But there are certain songs that shouldn't be touched.
Yeah, agreed. So if you could play a dream venue anywhere in the world,
anywhere in the world,
yeah, anywhere in the world. It can be in London. It can be anywhere. Where would it be?
That's a really good question. I'd like to play at the Colosseum in Italy. But obviously I'd like to play at Wembley. That would be amazing. And the Royal Albert Hall.
Amazing.
So
with someone in particular?
They're my top three.
Can be anyone?
Oh, that's an amazing question. That's a really hard question. Somebody asked me this the other day, they said, who would you like to do a duet with? And I said, I'd like to do a duet with Matt Bellamy out of the Muse.
Oh, wow. That's unexpected.
He's got a really theatrical voice, and I just think it would sound
amazing.
Really, really good. I'd love to do a duet with Shakira, because I think that would be amazing, just vocally. She's amazing. Alex wants me to say somebody else, but no, yes. Shakira's got the thumbs up, I see.
Cool.
Anyone in particular that I'd like to support maybe, or
collaborate with?
Oh god, that's a great question. I'd love to collaborate with. See, I'm quite eclectic, so I have quite old roots as well. I'd love to do like a collaboration with the Moody Blues.
Ooh.
Or the Eagles, or
nice.
You know, I was brought up on all that kind of stuff. Funnily enough, I went to see the Moody Blues last year, and they were absolutely amazing. Justin Hayward was amazing and hasn't lost one vocal decibel at all. But if he was still alive, Freddie Mercury.
Okay.
For me.
Good answer. So if we were to tap into your playlist, what kind of things would we find?
So in my playlist, you would find things from Buddy Holly all the way up to, I've got Patsy Cline in there.
Yes.
Oh, I've got all sorts of things. I've got a bit of Dolly Parton, a bit of Dixie Chicks. I'm quite country-based growing up as well. Freddie Mercury, you would find, but on the other side, you'd find quite a lot of dance stuff as well.
Like what?
Oh, just like 90s dance. So I was brought up in the 90s. So, you know, kind of like a KLM and all that kind of stuff, just because it's coming back. It is
so
it's rooted. Garage.
So
love a bit of garage. House, love a bit of house. But yeah, you'd also find in there Mozart. You'd find Chopin, Debussy.
So if you were to have something on shuffle, that must be really eclectic. Going from like Mozart to Kelly.
Yeah, I try not to let people listen to my playlist because they're like, there's no correlation between what I've just listened to and now what is playing.
Is there a track on there that you're most embarrassed about, guilty pleasure wise?
Guilty pleasure wise, what track do I like? Ice Ice Baby, Vanilla Ice is my guilty pleasure.
Amazing.
And one band actually I forgot to mention I'd love to do a collaboration with would be Toto.
Ooh,
because as musicians,
yeah,
you will never get better musicians, in my opinion. So tight. Yeah.
Okay, so next you've got your album coming soon. Is there a date for that as of yet?
There's no date, but we're looking around sort of April, May time, so it would be a year anniversary really from the last album.
Wow, you don't stop, do you?
It's hard. It's hard. And the thing is, I usually get asked like, well, what about inspiration?
Yeah.
You know, does it flow?
Yeah.
My answer to anybody sitting out there who writes music is no, it doesn't. Yes, it comes like buses in dribs and drabs, and you have to be patient, and there's no point sitting there forcing yourself to try and write something good if it's not happening, because it just doesn't work like that.
Great advice. You are making or about to make a brand new video.
I am.
And we're really lucky because it's one of the tracks that is going to be put into this video, so I feel like we've got an Alpha Sessions exclusive.
You have. You've got really one of the tracks off the new album, yes.
Which one's that then?
It's a song called Mad Crazy.
Okay, and tell us a bit about the video. Are you allowed or not really?
So the video is for the title track, which I can't tell you what it's going to be called because I'm just not allowed to, although I'd love to tell you. Okay. But the title track is a really strong track. Strong rhythmically, strong lyrically, and very strong vocally, and therefore we've had to build a video around it's based around tumultuous relationships, so it's quite edgy and quite raw, and actually it's going to be a challenge for me to stepping right outside my boundaries visually as to what I'm usually used to. Okay. And if you go to my website, you'll see the kind of videos that I'm
I've seen
kind of used to. So they're quite flowy and classic and lovely and
powerful.
Yes, powerful. This is going to be powerful in a different way.
Okay. So looking forward to
it. Yeah.
So if people want to find out more about you, where can they go? What can they do?
They can go to Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I've got my own website. So the website is www.kerrygoodhindmusic.com. The Facebook is, I believe it's Kerry Goodhind Music. Okay. Instagram is just Kerry Goodhind. I think Twitter's just Kerry Goodhind as well. But you can find me, find my page, find up and coming gigs coming up. There are currently no more at the moment this year because we're on the wind down, but the new stuff will be rearing its head next year with the video. It's going to be so exciting. It's going to be an interesting journey next year, but one I'm really looking forward to. So we've worked very hard this year to get the roots and the grounding and also the style, which is a major thing when you're writing. So you think, well, where do I sit? You know, who am I? Who do I sound like? Is there... Because I know,
but I don't think that's necessary. I think people that try and put you in a box is just not.
People say, "What is it? Is it pop? Is it?" And I say, "Well, do you know what? It's kind of electro. It's pop. It's a bit rocky."
You should just say it's me.
It's me. That's exactly what I'm going to say, Emma. I'm going to say it's me. You have to listen to it. That'll force them to listen to it.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you for having me. It's been a delight.
It's been a pleasure listening to you live and also chatting with you as well.
Thank you very much.
Hopefully we'll see you live again soon.
You sure will.
Take me far away from all these feelings that I own. 'Cause I am feeling restless, tired of being all alone on my own. For every picture takes me back to that old place. So take me back to someday we were running free. My heart was strong, my dreams were blowing in the breeze. How I wish that we could just have one moment more, so I can understand what we were fighting for. You take me back. And if I can show you what a struggle it can be to be me, now that I'm not with you, well, I am plagued with certainty. You and me, given time, and we can try to leave each other if we find, and we are free to try. Or take me back to someday we were running free, where everything was simple and we dared to dream. How I wish that we could just have one moment more, so I can understand what we were fighting for. So take me back to someday we were running free, where everything was simple and we dared to dream. Oh, how I wish that we could just have one moment more, so I can understand what we were fighting for. To take me back, take me back, take me back.